Welcome back to the Triple J Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Rasmussen, and we're back with another episode and a returning guest, Hollywood director, producer, writer, Fowzi Abdelsamad, UC Davis alum, current industry rising voice, and someone who took their college playing career and ended it with an overseas journey that took him to continents like South America, the Middle East, as well as some time in Europe. And now he's taken his passion and his gym rat mentality around being an athlete and just loving ball and applied it to his creative and writing inspirations. Lots of cool stuff as we revisit our journeys along the way. And for those of you that have not followed any of Fowzi's work, he's become an up-and-coming voice, like I said, and he's credited with episodes for series on the Fifth Ward, I Got a Story to Tell, as well as award-winning short films, Catching Up and Live With It. So without further ado, hope you enjoyed the episode. And as Triple J Sports Podcast coming at you, Fowzi Abdelsamad. Welcome back to the Triple J Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Rasmussen, and back today with longtime friend of mine, my boy, former teammate, current writer, director, screenwriter, producer in Hollywood, Fowzi Abdelsamad. Welcome back, my guy.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on? What's that? Is that Paris 23 shirt you're rocking right now? Is that what I see on that?
Yeah, Dub 3. You know what it is. I think they still sponsor, right?
Right. Well, I mean, the fact that you're upright and surviving, not, wandering around like a zombie with an 18-month-old means that you're doing something right, man. How's fatherhood a year and a half in, my guy?
It's been amazing. Just seeing her grow like damn near daily, especially after the first year went by. Every day is something new. Just trying to keep up and see how much I can get away with before she starts imitating. And, especially whatever I say, like now she's starting to imitate a bit. She'll repeat what you're saying. So I gotta, keep my mouth on check. I can't really react the way
That's
I want
right.
to. I kind of have to be a little bit, start using other words, I guess. But nah, it's been a blessing, man. She can run, like she can run fast already. So.
Dude, they don't stop, man. Next thing you know, she'll be a freshman like my oldest, and you'll be dealing with everything that comes with that, which still, a few months in, feels like the worst thing in the world to have my daughter already be in high school, like that she's grown that fast. So
that's wild. She's in high school right now,
bro. Like that's wild, man. When you think about it, right? Like you got 18-month-old. I remember those days. I can't say that I sleep any better 14 years later, but but it is what it is. So what's the latest and greatest? What's, from a project perspective, man, we were talking a little bit before the show. You are diversifying, pretty much on a daily basis, right? Hollywood's one of those crazy places where, networking and opportunity and timing kind of all have to come together with creativity. As an athlete and a former athlete with lots of, connections to the sports world. We talked last time about kind of the background and using that as a part of your kind of foundation in the sports world as a part of Hollywood. But what's the, kind of current project you're working on, and tell me a little bit about the things you got going on behind the scenes right now.
So the one thing that has changed since we last spoke was the introduction to international play, which somebody came out here from Nigeria who was hosting something in USC. She's well renowned, very successful woman who wants to dive into the movie industry. And the one person that she knew or had initial conversations with was Jeffrey or Ralph, who's one of the guys that I work with. He's a producer, writer, director. He's worked on a bunch of things as ADs, he's directed some short films. He's done a lot of stuff. And so at one point she mentioned, "Hey, I see there's a huge difference between what's going on out here and what's going on back in her own country of Nigeria." And she kind of wanted to kind of heighten the look and the production level of what those films out there do. And if you don't know, Nigeria has a huge film industry by itself where they pump out hundreds and hundreds of films a year, but it's kind of kept there. And those people who make it, who are doing it and producing it, like they're successful, they make good money, they're living beautiful out there. But she wanted to kind of expand it globally. So she saw this opportunity, talked to Jeffrey. Jeffrey pulled me in because we've been working with each other for a while, a couple of projects we've done together. And so they flew us out there. We got to meet a bunch of their talented producers, directors, financiers. We told them what it would take to kind of enhance and advance the film industry here versus just having every now and then you might have a huge production go out there 10 days and then leave. They kind of want to have a base there where people are cool and feel safe enough, I guess, because from whatever they depict Nigeria as, it's not so nice to go out there. But just personally going out there, that's all bogus. So I was very shocked. I was expecting one thing when I went out there, and I got the complete opposite. And so she wanted to build something out there for that world, but as well as expanding it so that everybody can experience, I guess, the Black diaspora, some Black stories, etc. So uh, she called us in. We had that meeting. It was beautiful. Ever since then, they asked us, "Do you have an idea that can really kind of start, that can catapult this?" Jeffrey had an idea. He presented it. They said, "Hell yeah!" And I'm producing it. Another friend of ours is producing it as well. That's part of the trio here. Her name is Lee Sherman, and so just based off of that, he's writing the script right now. We're about to start the pre-production process, and from those conversations, we have distribution set up with a huge company that's from Nigeria that has connections in Europe and the United States for us to kind of put this all the way out. And then we also have we've had great conversations with Financier, who is all in and has 3 people who are like willing to jump into this pool with us, which we were shocked about as well, and just cut the check as soon as the script is written. So this is one lane, and but it's just going to catapult everything else that we want to do, obviously, after we complete this project, because Jeffrey has his, Lee has hers, I have mine, and we're kind of just all going all in here for this because we know the lanes are going to open up, especially through financing, and then we have literal multi-country distribution with who we have a relationship out there. So that's what's happened in the past. I don't know, the last time we talked was 23, 4.
Last time we got on here, yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah,
24 probably, middle of
yeah.
24, and so so a lot of that with Nigeria. I mean, are like the ideas for the films and like all predicated on Nigerian-based stories, Nigerian-based kind of filming and development, or a mixture of, kind of the combination where it's, has a connection to the Nigerian film industry, but maybe stories from, you know, like relatable US stories. Like what's the vision for that?
Very good question. So it is more so giving Nigerian talent more of a stage to kind of show their talents, because we already have a bunch of Nigerian American talents that are stars, and we have a bunch of talent that didn't really kind of get over that. And so we're gonna be using those talents, including like DP, director, like cinematographers from Nigeria who need those opportunities to kind of show. Because I've seen certain things that they've done and I've seen the potential in it. They just don't think they have that opportunity to kind of cross over. And so we're trying to provide that as well as the storytellers, the writers. They kind of almost just keep them there, but some of their stories actually resonate. Um, and a lot of the actors, man, they just really want the opportunity. The actors and the people behind the scenes, especially the cinematographers, directors, really deserve a shot, at least a shot, whether it be just in Europe to kind of test it, or if the story is great enough, it will be dependent on us, producers and whatnot, to see how scalable the project is, that we can kind of make it shine across the globe. But either way, they are getting more of an opportunity, and the talents of the country will shine more. And it's all surrounding countries too, not just Nigeria. It's whatever is also surrounded in the South Africa region, because there's a lot of stories to be told that we haven't heard of. Like I could go ahead and bring a story that I make up. I could, and in this sense too, I can hire uh, Nigerian actors to play my roles, and that still helps. But in the other sense, it's like we want all the pieces to kind of have an opportunity, not just the actors, not just the faces of the film. We want people that behind the scenes, the editors, the writers, obviously, the directors, the cinematographers, the wardrobe, just everybody want to be able to give them the opportunity to shine.
That's a really cool, like, focal point, right? Who are some of the most famous Nigerian actors currently?
So that's not my thing, because Jeffrey knows top tier. Like Jeffrey is such a research nut, and also wants to make sure he has everything right. And I'll be real, like he's the one leading this charge. He's the one that brought me in. So that's why I'm just like, and he understands what I bring. So it's like after a certain point, he'll know, like, Fowzi, what do you think? Because but especially when it comes to story, visual, color, that kind of stuff, Jeffrey and I really link. But the person who's really been spearheading this is him. And like he has low key set up a very long term situation with uh, Nigeria as well as UK and South Africa, that's going to really kind of move in 26.
And what's Jeffrey's last name? Let's just make sure we give the audience Jeffrey
L. Ralph, like Jeffrey Lindsay Ralph.
That way we're giving Jeffrey a full story here. Does your current involvement in it and the opportunity to do something overseas, I mean, you are, as longtime friend of mine and a former teammate, right? Knowing your story, like born in Saudi Arabia, which we've talked about, raised in LA,
Mhm.
played overseas, been in a lot of countries. I mean, being involved in foreign countries is something that's been, essentially since before you were born, right? Like that's part of who you are. Does that help you a lot? Do you have a sense of like your ability to bring in your career multiple cultures and nationalities and countries to, for essentially to the US and into other markets because of the background? And how does basketball help you connect the dots, right? Build relationships in the networking world of Hollywood.
I mean, the international part helps a lot because of the different vibes I've been able to be exposed to, whatever country I was in. You can feel how certain countries are when you're there for a while, not just visiting or whatever, but playing overseas. You're there for a couple months, 2, 3 months, whatnot. So you kind of get an idea of how people actually live and how people are, and you kind of learn as you go because it's so much different at the end of the day than it is here, and the values are different too, which was something I had to learn too. It's just very different out there than it is here, and I'm talking about the European countries. Uh, Even the when we went with the team that I think Greg Klink put together to go to Argentina. So we were there for a while, but towards the end, just how different it was out there, it was just shocking a bit. So to to compare that to anything else, um, the one thing I was able to take from that, because basketball already taught me how to kind of relate to everybody that's on my team, and everybody has a different personality. So out there, there's a certain way that I had to approach certain people because the culture was different, and I respect everything before it goes bad, right? So when it comes to basketball and what I experienced over there, even with film and how it's helped me kind of be cool, it's the it's me like leading with wanting to know your energy first, kind of almost I want to kind of get to know you a little bit through whether it's physically with basketball, or if we're in a meeting and then I hear you say all this shit and I'm like, okay, you're like that, okay, okay, to where I can kind of almost curate, because you kind of have to do that if you want to be able to get along with everybody before you start looking kind of wild. I was able to kind of curate the way I respond to certain people or the way I approach certain people. And because of that, I feel everyone has felt comfortable talking to me, because I never led with my like fuck out of here type, excuse me, can I
Yeah,
curse on
no,
this?
you're good.
Where it's
There
like,
we
yo,
go.
like if somebody were to say something to me that I'm like, I disagree or whatever in the moment, and if it was the homie that knows me, I'll be like, man, fuck out of here with that. You know what I'm saying? What are you talking about? Like in your
Yep.
face. But if it's someone I'm getting to know, I'm like, all right, note taking, like, all right. So I know certain
Yeah, you would
I'm
curtail
good
the
at telling
facial
you.
expression.
Yeah. I was
I
like, I'm
don't you didn't
good
have to
at
say it to
telling
me. I
you.
know the facial expression.
It's like, yeah, it's one of those. So some of those people I don't give that expression to initially, because I'm just like, if I do, then they're looking at me funny. All right, I don't like this guy. He didn't even want to listen to half my stuff. But I'm literally like trying to, in live action, create some sort of a scattering report to understand how this person can be approached. So it's just like, all right, okay, I'm hearing you. So I'll just listen. So you might see me talk to you one way because we boys like that. And then this other person might come up, you might see me switch. Like, hey, I'll go by. Just because, like, yo, there's different
Even
personalities in
hearing you
the
talk
room.
like that makes me laugh, man. Even hearing you
It's like
even
it saves any type of, man. I don't know who they know too. On top of that, like if they're like, "Yo, Fowzi, that guy," nah, don't even talk to
that's
him.
that
He's
is leadership, that's connection, that's teamwork, then no doubt, man. I mean, that's like figuring out how to give other people what they need to feel comfortable, what they need to be successful is a part of having enough self-confidence and awareness of, look, I can adapt here. Like I can give you what you need to be a member of this team, to participate in a way that's going to contribute to success, and for you to feel comfortable enough to acclimate to the environment, right? That's a huge part of networking, of building trust. And yeah, I mean, being on a team with people from all different backgrounds and cultures, different household upbringings, different socioeconomic, lifestyles and environments that they were raised in, and then all having a place like a court or a field or whatever to have in common is a great place to learn how to be that way with people, right? Where like you find common ground and then you figure out how to make that your bonding point. Now, you talking like that would make me giggle every time, like a little kid, because I don't know you any other way. But uh, but yeah, I think that's definitely really cool, insight to hear, especially in the industry of Hollywood and filmmaking. I kind of feel like it has, and I may be going a little out on a limb here, a lot of the inherent dynamics that are similar with sports where you have people from very, very different backgrounds connecting all over the place, right? Like the financiers and the money, often I'm sure very different backgrounds than the actors and the, screenwriters like yourself. Like I would imagine there's a very interesting mix of, personalities and types, much like, any team in the sports world.
No, facts, facts. It's yeah, the personalities are just you just never know like what you're gonna get. And then one of the coolest things, um, I I know I don't know everything. You know what I'm saying? But I started to embrace it more when I was on set because I know what I have to do. They know what they have to do, and the way it is, it's almost religiously like they don't cross over. Uh, there was a situation where I was like, "Hey man, can you go ahead? Do you think you can go ahead and do this for me?" And then that person, I think, knew the answer, but said, "No, that's a sound question." Yeah, but I think you could probably figure it. Yeah, but that's a sound question. So they don't step over feet. They stay direct to their position, even though they may know the answer. They're still like, that's a him question. That's a her question. I'm like, all right. So I'll go over there, and that's something that I learned where it's like they respect everyone's position, and it's like they don't step over feet. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's a bit of a it's not, I don't want to say disrespect, but it's like they're here for something. Go ask them while I go finish up what I have to do right now. And I'm
So
like,
it's
oh,
not, you
yeah.
don't see it as a negative or like a laziness. Like it's really meant to, like that's what they're here for, and we're not gonna minimize or devalue their work and their knowledge in this particular area. So go to the right place, type of thing.
Yeah, which I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. That's cool. So that's me being a first AD, like for the first time. They're just like, that's a that person question. That's a that person question. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. So now I'm tightening up myself, so I'm not offending anyone by asking if they overhear me asking them a question I should be asking them. That now I'm just sharper. It really is like you have this. Literally, you can only shoot layups. You can only shoot jump shot, mid range. You can only shoot 20 feet. You can only shoot 23 feet. If you do anything different, we're gonna have a conversation. And it's like, oh shit. Okay, so and just that dynamic and how clear it was to everyone and how still altogether like it was synergy. I was just like, yeah. I mean, it's a team thing. I just didn't know how. You know how it's like, yo, if you can't, I'll step in and kind of do it. Nah,
Yep.
that. No,
So that's
I will do
it's
it.
an interesting perspective, Fowles, because like I've been a big, in my career, you want people that understand that it's not just about accomplishing your specific role, right? It's about the overall bigger mission, right? Like, what are we trying to accomplish here? And if I have the ball and I can carry it, I want you to carry it because it's not my job. Oftentimes can lead to inefficiencies and breakdowns. But I think in the right environment, when people are all taking care of their responsibilities, there's a lot of value in that. But you've got to have continuity and you've got to have consistency. So I think it's an interesting perspective, especially within that realm. I mean, you and I have talked about this over the years. You're a gym rat, always have been. I mean, I like to go play. You didn't have a problem in college, like beating up on, you know, the guy that just finished, coding a website five minutes
Okay,
earlier,
right.
paired with, a 60-year-old guy that was in there trying to get some cardio. Like you went and hooped regardless. Um, and that love of the game over the years, I know, has been a big part of what's connected you and helped you build relationships in Hollywood, in your profession. What is the game like today? Are you still playing? Is you got a baby, so I'm sure you can't go play as much as you were in the past. But are you still out hooping and are you still out networking through some pickup?
Um, a lot has changed since then. As far as who comes to the court now. Um, the way the world was back then, without the whole social media, it wasn't crazy as it is now. It's I mean, playing with youngsters now when I get on the court, it doesn't make any sense because they play as if they're going out for the highlights or as if a camera is set up for them to kind of do something. So they're not completely hooping; they're just performing. And so I'm just
They're
sitting,
looking for they're looking for a TikTok clip.
yeah, So I'm just sitting there like, all right, I think I'm good. I'm sitting here wide open. Everyone's just watching somebody dribble for, 20, 30 times. And I'm just like, all right, I think I'm fine, man. I got to find a group of guys who actually just hoop. So thankfully, I have a friend of mine who works and who's been with a bunch of friends that kind of work in the industry and just successful guys about 35 and up, where we just rent out the high school gym once a night. You know what I'm saying? We just go in there, about 12 to 15 of us, get it for a couple of hours. No nonsense, jokes, but we all know what it is. And it's none of these like blah 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 blah. Like it's actual hoop, like they used to hoop kind of thing. They know the game. If you think you're gonna sit there and kind of guard this guy, thinking he's not gonna move, he'll backdoor on you and get a layup. Like we're all here for that cardio, that reminiscing of how it used to be, etc. But that's where I'm getting my best run because now I'm so happy. And again, that starts from initially my basketball experience, and then those friends of mine, yo, what are you doing out here? I'm like, this and that. That has catered onto all these. Hey, come play with my group over here, man, on such and such. So I played on some immaculate basketball courts, mansions, and weird ass, amazing half court setups in a mansion, Kobe logo everywhere. I was like, wow, this is sickening. And we hoop, everyone's cool. I'm balling with millionaires, Phil. Like it's crazy just to feel like I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, man, Phil, I got you neck, man. You running with me? Like they looking at me like, I'm that guy. But it's just so funny that when
That's
it comes stripped all the way down, we all love basketball kind of thing.
at the
So
end of the day, you want to compete, you want to win, and It's a universal language for sure. I've always been fascinated by it because you're so comfortable playing in any environment on a court, and we talked about it a little bit last season, but you're very much like, I'll go play with 15 to 20 guys I have no history with because you're out playing and you'll figure it out. And it's like a universal language to connect with people. And you mentioned with F. Gary Gray and some of your connections, that background of networking through basketball and how it's helped your career. What do you remember? Like, we talked a little before the show. What are some of the guys that went on to have NBA careers or more notable careers that you remember playing against when you were growing up that um, really kind of looking back in your love of the game and just playing in all sorts of environments that you realize like those guys went on to have like successful careers in the NBA overseas, and same thing kind of like maybe in Hollywood, actors, things like that. Who have you played with on the court that would be household names to our audience?
I go with I grew up low key with Cedric Bozeman. He went to my middle school. He ended up doing some great things at UCLA. I think he made it to the league.
Yep.
Josh Childress, who I thought was smooth as a high school player. We hooped. Craig, that was my teammate, Craig Smith. Evan Burns was one of the most talented players I played with. I think he was just injured and whatnot, coming out of San Diego State, I think it was. Then we have like Ruben Douglas, who was at Arizona. Then
Kobe stopper.
Yeah. So
the Kobe stopper.
So he was cool.
You and I played against Ramon Sessions and Kirk Snyder at Nevada. We were talking about that before the show.
Ramon Sessions built himself into something special, man. The funny story about that is I was reminded about all of that shit by when I was in Atlanta. We were looking for a house to freaking shoot at. I was first ADing. Turns out that we ended up renting out Ramon Sessions' house. I saw Ramon Sessions again. I'm looking at him dead eye, like, okay, yeah, you did some good stuff. You won't remember me, so I didn't bring up nothing. But I was just like, this is Ramon Sessions' house, and it was phenomenal. The house was a driveway up,
wild,
big ass front yard. I'm like, this is Ramon Sessions' house. Boom, walking around. He has main house, back house, has a little hoop on the other side of the house that we were obviously going to be shooting on. So when we were on break, we were shooting on it. But I was just like, okay, what does he do now that he's able to maintain? And then I found out that he's an agent. He's still in the game. So I was like, all right, good for him. But like, I was like, man, we hooped like, and you didn't do nothing against us, and you shining. Good for you.
The other one, I'm trying to remember. I remember Ramel had a really good game at Nevada.
At Nevada? Oh shit, that might have been after I left.
Yep. It was after your senior year. I had a good game at Davis my junior year. I remember playing well. I remember playing horrendously your senior year at at Reno. It was probably one of the worst games of my career where I was like, okay, and I felt like it was such a frustrating thing because I had played on the big stage, played at Fresno State the year before. So it wasn't like anything about the game. It just was a bad game and a bad matchup. And I remember looking at the box score that year and being like, yeah, this one's not one I want to retain and remember. The next year, I remember having a pretty good game at home. We took it overtime, and then senior year, it was right after we beat Stanford, which was a big win, especially with the struggle in the year. And I had, finally felt like we had brought that young team along. I was the only senior. And then right after beating Stanford, we went and played Reno, and we just got the shit kicked out of us at Reno. And it was like, I remember Thomas Julerot doing the talk about a major momentum swing. He's like, we went from beating Stanford to mopping the floors with wet towels with Coach Stewart. And like, so Reno has some stories, but we were also talking about like in high school. I remember back when we played AAU around our years, right? AAU Ebo was kind of a team back then with Mott's that had Deshaun Stevenson, Chris Jeffries, one of my teammates, two of my teammates at Jesuit, Cedric Barrow and Maurice Tyree, both got like run on their like second teams. Cedric, I think at times the first team, Ronnie Barrow, his older brother. So I watched a lot of Deshaun Stevenson grew up. He was the guy, out of that group. And then Chris Jeffries, who was my teammate at Fresno State, just saw him a few weeks ago. He's back actually coaching skill development in the Central Valley in Vegas. And so a lot of reconnection of, the old network. But we were talking about Deshaun Stevenson beforehand, and he was a freak athlete back then. And you mentioned him, and I'm going to throw this out because I would love to get your take talking Deshaun. I played with, those guys mentioned, and then there was a guy out of Sacramento who ended up initially signing to play at UMass named Jamil Pugh. Good buddy. He's
Yeah. Jamil,
and he was a freak athlete, like massive hops. There was several dunk contests down at Washington Union in Fresno in those AAU tournaments where Jamil put on a show. He used to crack me up because he used to literally jump as high as he could to shoot a jump shot, but then wait to shoot till he was almost back to the ground. So it was like really not the right mechanics, but his athletic ability was insane. And Deshaun Stevenson was in that whole EBO world. What do you remember about Deshaun? Because he went on to have obviously a good NBA career. Went out of high school. Tell me a little about your memories from that time.
I mean, Deshaun just looked different when I played in that AAU game. It was at
like
Long
a
Beach
30-year-old playing a high school basketball game.
It was at Long Beach State gym. No, not Long Beach. Yeah, Long Beach State. No, not the Pyramid, but I think it might have just been Long Beach Poly or something. It was a nice gym though for where it was at. It definitely was not the Pyramid. So when I saw that we were playing him, because I didn't really know, like AAU teams, people just show up sometimes. Like, oh, they know him, so he's gonna play, I guess. So when he was on the court, I was like, all right, yeah, you're absolutely built differently, and you just look different.
A man amongst boys at that
Long
time.
hair. And it was very crowded for that type of game. So I'm like, all right, so I guess they're here for him. And some of my teammates were telling me. And so we just hooped. Like it wasn't like we got our ass whooped or anything like that. He just had the right height, size, strength, everything about him. And even on the elevation on his jump shot, when I was closing out on him at one time in the game at the corner, I saw the elevation on his jump shot. And it wasn't like light, like a warm up. Like he kind of did it like he was playing in the game, like a real NBA game or whatnot, if you want, a game that really counts. AAU is whatever.
Yep.
So when I saw that and I was closing out, I was like, oh, what the fuck? But he jumped good enough. His form was dope. He missed a shot, but everything looked so like repped.
Yep.
I was like, oh shit. Okay, all right. There's something different about. I mean, I know you're good, obviously athletic, but there's something else about you that
It's different.
separating yourself. Yeah, and I think I
That's
just saw some of it, and I'm just like, okay,
that's
there,
the part, like, I think I've
there,
learned that more, maybe not recently, but probably within the first 5 to 10 years after, my career ended, right? I would look at guys that I knew I was way more skilled than, right? Like, I mean, put me in my view, right? Put me in a gym to shoot against anybody. I'm like, I'm gonna outshoot you. Like, I'm gonna make more shots. It wasn't until I started shooting with Jason Capono that I really had like the humbling experience of like, damn, like I'm not the best shooter in the world. Like I want to believe in my head, right? Like but I would always be amazed at the rankings
mm,
of guys when we were in high school. And why is this guy ranked so much higher than this guy or that guy? Or, why do they get more notoriety than, not just myself, right? But like other guys that I knew. And ultimately it was always athleticism, right? It was like explosion and ability and watching guys develop the first probably 5 years after I finished and seeing a guy come in and go, okay, athlete can't shoot, but they can rep him enough times to where he can shoot. And you see guys in the NBA now, and I think it's really interesting the God given ability of athleticism and explosion and the thing you can't teach can be the foundation. And then you'll see a guy like now he's a 3-and-D guy. Now he can sit in a corner and make threes. And you're like, when he was in high school, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn from 15 feet. Now he's shooting NBA threes.
yeah, no, that's a good point.
And I always found that interesting because I'd be like, dude, that they can't shoot, they can't dribble, but they're explosive. And then you see on the counter the guy that's not explosive, that doesn't have tremendous quickness, agility, or like that's also in the league. And you realize like their path is to be so far above and beyond skill wise that they can get wherever they want to go on a court with their brains and their smarts. Like Steph Curry's not the most athletic guy, never has been. His
Right.
skill set is insanity. Um,
Yeah.
you see a lot of it. So I find that interesting now, like when I look back at like how I perceived the game in high school and even early college of it isn't one or the other. Like ultra athletic, explosive guys can get in the gym and rep themselves into being great shooters, right? Ball handlers and highly skilled, less athletic guys can develop such an art form of getting around on the court that they can become successful. And so when I watch the NBA now, I really like love the comparisons, of those guys that, the TJ McConnells, they just play so hard and they're so,
Hmm.
skilled in their motor and they jump out. And then you've got the athletes that become insane uh in terms of how much better their skill set is.
Yeah.
I thought Deshaun Stevenson, Jamil Pugh was like a good example, right? Like Deshaun and Jamil were like similar, like they were athletically off the charts. Deshaun developed into a guy that could score in the NBA and a guy that was a high level guarding. He was a defensive guy. Uh, I
That's
remember
it.
watching him in high school. I just thought he was just an insane athlete. That's really what I thought he was at the time.
No, I agree. Like Deshaun was crazy. So was Jamil. Jamil was just a super athlete. But when we played against him, I saw certain things that I was like, he has limitations. And so, but he's been working on it for so long before we actually played each other that it was just like you're still here with it. So I don't know if it's coaching or your team around you that's trying to tell you, nah, your athleticism is enough. But he also was not tall like that. He was like 6'4", 6'5",
Yep.
maybe. And I'm just like, 'cause we used to hoop like during the summer. We'd do some pickup at Sac State, and I'm just like, man, you're crazy athletic, but I don't see you doing anything else except like attacking the rim, trying to finish, layup, whatever. But there's no like pull back, step back, side step, nothing, none of the jump shot stuff you don't want to do. And I think he was
None of the skill set.
a lefty, wasn't he?
D. Steve?
No, Jamil.
Jamil? No, Jamil was right-handed, although I think he had like ambidextrous
Oh, okay.
tendencies, but
I
he
was just
shot
like,
right-handed. Um,
but he was mad athletic. First of all, he was one of the coolest dudes on earth. First off,
Great
like
dude, like
he's one of the coolest dudes.
phenomenal, like fun guy, nice guy.
Awesome dude.
We had battles. This is a throwback now. I mean, our AAU team in the summertime was a lot of our Jesuit high school guys. Maurice Tyree and I were the same year at Jesuit. We had a guy that we used to call the Godfather that kind of helped finance our team. Grant Cadero, his father, we called him the Godfather. Dell Demps coached us at one point. JJ Polk coached us at one point, but and Gus Armstead was kind of the guy behind the scenes. But we mixed with the Grant Union High School guys, and that had Gerald Lowe, Malik, Paris, Warren, I'm trying to remember, and then Jamil. And we would have battles with these guys during the season, and then we would play. We were boys and teammates in the summertime. Jamil, really, really good dude. I remember when he went to UMass. I think it's just a funny conversation because I didn't see a difference between he and Deshaun Stevenson, right? Athletically, I thought they were very, very similar. Maybe Deshaun was a little bit more physically strong at that point in high school, but the skill set didn't look a whole lot like. I think they both had the potential to be very, very similar, right?
Yeah.
And Jamil took off from 2 feet from the free throw line in a dunk contest at Washington Union that sent that building into an absolute frenzy. Like 2 foot from the free throw line is absurd. But when he went to UMass, he, like me, I went to Fresno State. He ended up coming back to Sac State. So remember, we played against them I think it was your senior year when we played them at Sac State. And beat them. I want to say it was your senior, unless it was the year after. But Jamil ended up back at Sac State. And we had a good and I always thought like just super athletic, super talented, great guy. And that's a funny memory looking back, like Deshaun Stevenson, and the same thing. Chris Jeffries, went to Arkansas to play for Nolan Richardson, ended up back at Fresno State. Jamil went to UMass, ended up back at Sac State. I went to Fresno State, and then when Tark retired, back at Davis. A lot of guys that went away to schools back then, right, ending up at another location.
Yeah.
Jamil was capable at UMass, as obviously was Chris at Arkansas. Chris probably, I saw him, like you said, the other day at a Fresno State game. He was who gave me the confidence, Fuzz, when you and I connected, right? Going against that guy every day was like a challenge, right? Like, I mean, one of those things that was a litmus test on a regular basis. But I say that long-winded story. Today, all of those stories would be so different with the way the transfer portal is for these guys and NIL and like how they evolved. I don't think you'd have finished your career at UC Davis. And I throw it out there and say, like, I would have never played a minute at UC Davis. I would have picked another school once Coach Fogel was no longer going to be the coach, because I would have wanted to go play for someone that recruited me. You would have been in the portal playing, Pac-12, Pac-10 basketball with what you did. Do you ever look back at that and think about what might have been just different if you were playing today's day and age with the way both NIL and the transfer portal have changed the game itself?
Yeah, absolutely. Man. I would have. It might have happened a lot sooner than that too, just based on what I was going through before you got there. I might have just said, I gotta go, because I was already having an issue with me not feeling like I was getting any better, and I don't, and that was like after my first year, and then when I got a good year in, and I still felt stagnant. At least the last 2 years, when Stewart got there, I likely would have been, like you said, as soon as Fogel left, I would have had 2 years. So I would have left after that, and just found something better. Because based off of what I did that year, I could have won exactly what you mentioned. Like, it just would have been a hell of a lot different.
Pac-10, you could have played in any one of those
Yeah,
conferences, and the other Big West schools.
yeah,
You're God, I mean, what I caught the other day was the Stanford game. So we obviously, that was a memorable game for me my senior year, right? We beat Stanford, but you put on a show at Stanford the year before.
really.
My junior year, your senior year, you were giving buckets to Stanford that year, and that was we've told the story with Rob. We had a slow start to the year. I had a great game against the Longwood right before we played Stanford, and I remember coming, and I think I were just 28, 29 points, something like that. It was a breakout game after struggling early in the year, and I watched the clip the other day that my son, who's a big supporter on YouTube, was like, "Hey, Dad, check this out! I found this game on you," and it was some clips from the Stanford game, and they were highlighting me, basically because I just scored a bunch. But then when I look at the box score, and I remember you went off against Stanford, like you were cooking from every spot. What do you remember most about what games during your general career at Davis? Is there something about that sequence of the transition to the Big West and all of that and our time together where you look back and like those games that you wouldn't have had if you could transfer, if you could have gone on and go to some schools? What are the ones that you are most fond of in your memory, aside with putting up with being my teammate for a few years, which is absolute bullshit and difficult to do for anybody? But like, what do you look back on fondly?
Uh, it would have to be like, I saw the differences in being able to kind of do the same thing in both levels, because we started off with D2 and then we transferred over to D1, and still being able to do somewhat similar damage with less amount of shots. Because when it came to D2 and Fogel was just like, hey, if you want to call 1-4 flat, call it.
Go do your thing, Fuzz.
And
Go
this
get us
is
buckets.
And this is when I had Dominic. I think it was the year I had him.
Dom Calori, yeah.
Dominic Calori is one of my favorite teammates of all time. Like, he was unreal.
Banana hands.
Yeah, and he had hands. Yeah, like it was like. But I had like a couple of 30s that with him and stuff, and then after he left and Stewart came, it was more so just trying to because I was like, finally, we're going D1. Because the D2 stuff, I was just like, that's why I said I would have left, like, and I would have had 2 years in D1. So after doing what we did together, uh, D2, and we did well. D1, the game that stands out, the games that stand out is Stanford, Utah State, and both games against Northridge, because Northridge was solid that year. So Northridge, Stanford, and Utah State, when we went out there, just giving them buckets. Number one for Stanford, I was so hyped about that game because they were recruiting me, and then my high school coach kind of swayed the recruiting towards just going to Davis.
To
And
Davis.
so I always thought I was gonna somewhat get to Stanford even through high school, but I signed early and I was fine with it. I was comfortable with it.
You were a guy that in today's world you have 100 schools offering you a scholarship if you had today's
Yeah,
exposure and access, right, and the way that you played. No doubt. I remember the Utah State game. That definitely. And looking back, I don't remember the Northridge games as much. I know Andy Newman, who was the director of operations at Fresno State my second year under Coach Lopes and Coach Burton. And then Coach Burton was the head coach for most of our careers at Fullerton. He took over and ran that program. And now Coach Newman, who always a cool dude, always liked Andy. He was a younger guy when I was playing for him, and we were playing. He's now the head coach at Northridge, and I think he's got. Well, I want to say he's got Bobby Brown there on his staff,
really?
who from his Fullerton, if I remember correctly,
He was Fullerton.
during that because he had an NBA stint.
Yeah, yeah.
Good, and Andy coached him, a good dude, but wild for us, right? And pivoting, our former teammate is the head coach of the UC Riverside program now. Gus Argenal has circled back.
Well
So
deserved, man. Well deserved too. Yeah.
yep, we one of these days we're gonna set up an episode here where I'm gonna get all of you guys together, get you, Gus, Coach Esan,
Robert, yeah. That's
yeah, get us all together. We'll go throwback, bring on Jesse Pruitt
oh,
and all you guys.
that would be
We'll have a
awesome.
roundabout. Get fly everybody out. We'll do it in the studio too.
Awesome, man.
I don't know if you've seen, like,
I saw some of the
hoping
clips.
to have Lynn Washington on here shortly too. I've been going back and forth a little bit with Lynn, but bringing Lynn on and so he can talk about his experience playing for Bobby Knight. And
I like to know that.
after having Bennett on talking about playing for Lute Olson and winning a national championship. But he told a story, and this is why I'm bringing this up. Little memory lane, spark the neurons in that flat top that you're growing out now.
This is whatever I got left, Phil. It's whatever I got left.
Do you remember the San Bernardino game, which Coach Argenal was just the head coach of that program before the Riverside, and the Jonathan Levy lob play that
I remember Jonathan Levy. He was talented.
Jonathan Levy, do you remember the lob play that was what basically derailed the next next month and a half of my season because I gave up the backdoor lob dunk in that game? Were you do you remember that play at UC Davis?
Ooh, no. It was
No memory.
Oh, we beat them that night, didn't we?
We did. We beat them. There was
But that's how they started off the game with that lob.
So you remember Coach Dubois spent the whole week of practice, don't get beat on this backdoor lob play, right? And we went through it, we drilled it. You know, one of those things like for whatever reason, we just didn't want to give up the lob, momentum,
Yeah,
the whole nine.
yeah.
We all knew it. I'm in the game, like first minute and a half. They run the play, and it's one of those things like don't take the bait on fighting over the screen here because that's the setup for the lob. Telling yourself over and over. Then instinct kicks in and he's going off the screen. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to get through the screen. And I go to fight over and he backdoors, catches the lob. And I don't think I played the rest of the game. And they were so pissed that I took the bait on the back door. So I think I got it. I literally sat the rest of the first half and didn't get in till the second. But that game is one of the ones that's on the memory bank, but not for a good reason. We won. That was a good reason, but
wow, I did not. I don't remember that.
no.
That's crazy.
Well, you know that deal where you like what you're supposed to do, but then you're just basketball instinct
Yeah, because
kicks
it's
in.
natural instinct. Yeah, like
Oh, he's getting through. I got to get through the screen. No, Bennett told a similar story about it's on for the audience has seen it of during their national championship run that them putting in the scout a pregame for a lob for Vince Carter when they were going to go play North Carolina. And he's like, we drilled it. And he's like, and I'm in the game. I'm playing. I see the stuff happening. Like, oh, I recognize this play over. Oh, boom. Before the kid. He goes, by the time I processed that I recognized the play, Vince Carter was already dunking on me.
That's the fun of it, man. That's the fun of it. But yeah, that sucks though. That happened.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that play, man.
Yeah, there was a lot of those. I do recall watching you play before I made the decision to sign with Davis. I watched you play again.
Oh, can't hear you.
Well, what's your favorite takeaway from your tenure in college that you still carry forward with you today? I mean, you and I could do these stories all day long as guys that just love the game. But what do you get up, go to work, sit down, and network? What is it about that is kind of your pseudo superpower that you carried forward?
Yeah, but what was the initial like what I take from my experience with college though? Or what?
Yep. Like just your hoop and your college career, the thing that's helped you be successful.
Okay, so I have two answers for that. Because one that is unforgettable for me, that makes me feel good that I have at least one witness. I've done this before in front of a crowd before, but not like in front of my team or anybody from my team. And I think I did it one time when there was a bunch of coaches on the court and we're trying to show offenses and we're doing drills for coaches. All these, Stanford, all these folks from around the way was there to kind of watch us do some plays or drills. It was like a coaching clinic that we helped out with. They saw what happened. But what more so is the one day you and I, after I think our season ended for like a couple weeks and we had our legs underneath us, that we just had a dunk fest at Hickey. To the point where we're like, can you just flush it? Like, can you just dunk it without touching the rim? And we just kept going back and forth, just dunking. I don't think some people have seen me dunk out here, not like you did that day. And I saw you dunk. I mean, you could dunk easily. right? But nobody really ever got a chance. I couldn't do it during the season because like the way they ran us during practice, it's like why am I gonna try and dunk during the game if I had a wide open layup? I'm just gonna lay it in. But that was one of my happiest. I was like, yo, I'm dunking with Phil, going back and forth. Somebody knows, okay, that I was able to kind of flush. I can flush back and
That
forth.
I can flush.
All right, jeez, like, cause some people like, nah, man, you was dunking like that. It's like I got one guy that knows.
That
Dunking,
knows.
but I was
You
cool.
you had sneaky hops that day. We both that I say that all the time. I never had a game in my UC Davis tenure where I ever felt like I had my legs. I never came into the game feeling like I had fresh legs. I never felt explosive in a game at Davis. And I look back at that and I say, the superpower for me was like toughness and being able to grind through things, right? Like going, all the time. It's not 5 a.m. workouts where we're doing military style workouts that have nothing to do with basketball, but they're making me tougher. Those things were helpful for my life.
Right, right.
But going on a basketball court and feeling like I was fresh legs, like my body was like perfectly wired to go out and hit 12 threes in a quarter of the, or before the first media timeout of like
Yeah.
the first half. Never, like not one time in my career. Like I always felt really, fresh legged at in high school and at Fresno State.
Yeah.
But the way that we worked out was so ridiculous that fresh legs didn't even exist. So dunking, there were plenty of times in my career I got breakaways and I couldn't even fathom like really trying to explode because I just didn't have it, or I went to try and my legs just didn't give
Right.
me boost. So it was a layup. And so I think I only had a couple dunks in college. But yes, I remember that those days in the summertime.
Felt
And
so good to have our legs, man. That's how it's supposed to be.
I had a good explosive vert. I just couldn't put
Yeah.
that into action. Like,
Go on
and
here
I
with
wasn't
it.
a 2-leg or a 1-leg jumper.
That's what
I
I'm saying.
remember that you got up too. But when you look at like today's training fouls, like in that kind of dynamic, I think it's cool. We'll have to bring, this conversation with Gus and Rob. They train differently now, right? Like they train and lift sport specific. I just had Al Biancani on again, and he talks a lot about how to athletically become better as like just an explosive agility, mobility athlete. Today's environment, they teach and train guys how to be more explosive. I think if we had more of that in our program, I do think we both would have, definitely tried to dunk more. But that's a funny memory. I remember that.
Obviously, they were fun because you got your legs back and you can kind of explode on anybody if you want.
No doubt. You mentioned Dom Calori just had his ex-wife Cassidy Calori on, who played, she was a Chico State women's basketball player back in the day, but saw her and that connected with her, and so we were just talking about Dom, and Dom was a beast. He was a specimen with huge hands, big frame, great rebounder, and
Dom was so cool, man. Dom made it
def
comfortable for me to like kind of beat me when I kind of hit a block, and then I started going off about 8 games in. He was just like, just go, man. Like nobody can guard you out. He gave me like the
go
even
ahead.
yeah, even with he was even. I think he was interviewed after a game once. He was like, "There's nobody can guard this kid in the league right now." There's nobody here. He was just giving me so much praise, even though I'm like, I'm following your lead because he's a walking double double. He's easy, and he can shoot the three. It's like he can do
Yep.
everything. And I'm just like, for him, when I saw that after the fact, I was like, oh shit! Like the fact that Dom kind of gave me that boost, like it just kept me going and going and going. As far as like, just be fearless. Don't think about what the coaches are thinking. Da da da. Just do you. We know what you're capable of. We see it in practice. We're pissed off that you're not doing it in the game, low key. So when he brought that out, I was like, oh wow, like he was one of the ones I was looking up to because he was a killer every fucking day. He was so consistent. I
Yep.
was like, damn, this
That
kid.
that's a soundbite for sure, Fouls, because that's
Yeah.
such an important lesson that I feel like in every environment I've ever been coaching, right? Like I feel like it's the role as a leader and a coach to instill that confidence, to give people the permission to go be great, right?
Mhm.
Don't confine yourself to a box. Go be great. Like, don't worry about failing. We believe in you and go. Like
Mhm.
Jay Flores, who was an MVP at Chico State, talked a lot about how Coach Klink was great with this, and we were great. Like, dude, you're our guy. Like, you have the ball. We're gonna ride with you. Don't whatever you want to go and do. Go do it. Right. We have faith in you. Uh, I felt that way a lot with Amir Caraway and Jordan Semple. A lot of these guys I got to coach, and I'm mentioning a few of these names because the universal thing that they have, right, was the same thing like Coach Welch when he recruited me, Coach Meyer,
Mhm.
they believed in me, right? They gave me that green light to be great and not think about failing. My dad did that for me. Um, Having guys on a coaching staff do that is huge, but having a veteran on your team give you
Yeah.
that green light is that next piece, right? Like
Yeah.
they talk about, so the senior or the junior that tells the freshman or the sophomore, let it fly, dude. Like attack the basket, go get the ball, go, hunt shots.
It's huge.
That's the foundation for greatness. So Dom doing that for you
Mhm.
is the example of what leadership within a team does to bring greatness out of guys. And part of it is like giving a guy permission to be great. Like tell him we rock with you, we ride with you, so that they're not worried about your belief in them, right? That like you open a door. So he did that for you.
Yeah.
Uh that's really cool to hear because Dom is a great guy. He and Danny Workman and those guys on that team that
Workman,
you
yeah. Gus came along. Also, was like he made sure when he saw that I was like a little frustrated that he was on my ass about it because he was my PG for a year or two or something like that. Robert
Yep.
Esan was just with me. Robert Esan, he was just so carefree. He made me. There's something about Robert Esan that what he gave me was just what you stressing about. He was a very like
Yes.
dude, like
That
just so just like just what he how he's coaching his team right now in Chicago. It's just like he's just one of like, yo, come on, man, come on. Like, yo, you got it. Yo, just what are you thinking about? Like he's one of those. Like, what are you thinking about? Just go. Like,
he's even more uptight now than he was with us, like, not in a negative way, but, like, as a head coach, he has to be more reserved, he has to be more calculated. At times when I talk to him, I can see, like, he's polished and he's very articulate, smart guy, all the way through, but, to your point, he can't be as much of what you're describing, right? Because the roles have evolved, but yeah, as a teammate, like,
yeah, he
he
was
was the
just
guy, like, there was nothing serious ever. Like, nothing was ever serious. Everything was low key. I mean, uh, and his effect was tremendous within the realm of, like, trying to keep everything lighthearted, not letting, things become down or negative. He was always really good. And I think that works really well for him as a networker, as a coach. And I still find it interesting, to your point, when I talk to him, as one of the best guys there is, great coach. I still see the comedian behind the scenes, right, most of the time, but he's he can't be that all the time anymore. It's really cool. And Gus, Gus was a great example of a guy who figured out how to lead by distributing the ball. And, I think for kids that are playing, trying to find a role today, I think Gus is a great guy to lead. Like, look, you don't have to be the guy that scores 30 points to be the most impactful player on your team, right? It's the way you compete and deliver and share the basketball and play defense and fill the intangibles. And you got a lot of that from Frank Alaco and De La Salle and that dynamic. But who do you still stay up with down in like the LA area that used to play, like former college basketball players, like you mentioned, who still plays or that you catch up with that still hoops these days?
Well, anyone that I know from Davis, nobody that I really hoop with, but who I've reconnected with because our worlds are like, together.
Collide, yep.
JK. JK is my entertainment lawyer. So he's going to be guiding me through all these processes, making sure I have all my IPs straight. Nobody's trying to mess with taking my IP or whatever. Like, he's very sharp, and he has a crazy amount of relationships with people who are in the industry because he's very successful. Like, it's and he doesn't live far from where I'm at. From what he told me either, like he's in the valley or something like that. But JK is also the same. Like, if we had a conversation, that's another person you might want to have a conversation with. Because JK is a very I don't really know what got him here, or maybe this is what he was trying to do while he was in college with us. But whatever guided him here, and he's a lawyer and he's an entertainment lawyer, and he has all these relationships with some higher ups, and he's worked with some major names. And he's still to the core, JK.
Yep, that's my boy, man. Like, I've been trying to get him to come on, Fowz.
Okay.
He's I've stayed up I'm definitely one of my closest friends over the years. And he's laid back in the cut. I just texted him probably, I don't know, less than a week ago, like, hey man, now that you got a big firm and you're doing your thing, you have to come on the show and tell your story and connect the dots. So now that you put him on blast on the show, he has no choice. I got to bring him on, and I'll make sure to tell him that you called him out, and now he can't turn me down and you down.
JK is super real, man. Like, he's
my guy.
Stuff with him, because his father passed while we were together, and so I can't fathom that. But just to see how he's grown ever since then, and then have his kid, married, all that stuff, it's beautiful to see. What I mean? And he has so much knowledge. He was kicking me a bunch of game that I didn't really know about on that side of the industry. So I know he has a lot. He has a lot to kind of tell and share. So hopefully he'll squeeze you in his busy ass schedule at some point.
That's right. I mean,
that's busy. I can't just call him up. I gotta talk to his assistant. Can you schedule me in? Can you pencil me in? He's not direct anymore. It's like,
dude, that's
and
okay,
you get
there we go.
Your assistant.
We're having
now.
a therapy session. That's my boy. That's one of my like closest friends, and we haven't been catching up the same. And I'm running. I'm busy with life, and so is he. But I hit him up the other day, like, yo, man, it's been a minute. We have not caught up. And he gave me, the kids, the job. I was like, I get it, but like, miss you, bro. Like, where's our regular convos? So we're gonna have to take care of that. But that's a really cool promo for him, right? Because he is in the entertainment and sports law, and what he's doing is the culmination of putting your head down in a grind to be credible in a space that takes time. And you don't get credible as an attorney. You don't get credible in anything without putting in the hours behind the scenes. Um, you know, like bringing that all the way back to you with writing. I mean, you've been writing scripts since college. Like, I remember you writing scripts and stories while we were teammates that, for me at the time, like, I didn't understand the bigger vision of what you were working on, or, but I remembered that's what you did. And you've had to put that in year after year, get your work, get opportunities. What do you think is the most defined, kind of, as we bring kind of this episode towards the wrap here, man? Like, what is that like in the realm of filmmaking, right? To develop the credits and the credibility as a writer, as a producer, as a director, and all the different aspects of producing films that you've had to not only gain your, essentially earn your stripes, but earn the credits so that you can, develop in your career from an income and a notoriety and trust perspective. What's that journey been like for you?
I mean, starting off, it was obviously pretty slow, but because I was able to have these random encounters with people in the court, that whether it was they saw something in me or how I voiced my passion for it, they just gave me a shot. So it's more so, when you're giving that opportunity, how serious are you about accomplishing it, or just putting yourself out there to see if like they even bite? So for me, I just shot, just like on the court. If you're open, you get a nice pass. I mean, you're gonna shoot. And a lot of now, even that's like even a saying now. It's like shoot your shot type shit. So I
Yep,
shot,
it is.
right? So I shot it, and F. Gary Gray came back. Yo, there's another person I was looking for this, but he's taking too long. You brought your shit in. I shot the shot. So I was under him for about a year or so. He taught me the game, and then he kind of had to go away because he got NWA and all that. So I took whatever I learned from that and moved on. Dominique Telson was there for me. She kind of taught me how what is being desired market wise. So I'm like, oh, so it's not everyone wants this. Like the market kind of fluctuates. People are looking more for like romantic comedies right now. People are looking for holiday comedies. People are looking for horrors. So I was like, oh wow, the game kind of fluctuates. I didn't know that. So at one point, she gave me an opportunity to interview, as other writers were interviewing, to write this like political comedy. And so I had an idea for it. I guess they gave us all the synopsis or whatever, and just see what you can do with that. I walk in, I'm talking to Dominique is there, as well as the people, millionaires that are like sitting in the same room. What is your idea for this film? Pitched it, was myself. I didn't try to fake talk. I just kind of talked like how I was, and I told them, this is what I think, blah, blah, blah. I think it would be dope, this and that. I saw the reactions to certain things that I realized they didn't hear yet from the other people that they interviewed. So I'm like, all right, might have spiced something or opened something up there. And I was like, all right, shot my shot. Walk out. About 2 weeks later, yo, they want you. They want you to be the guy to write the script. Shit, major paycheck off of that. So I'm like, wow, I could say I'm a writer right now. So I wrote all that. They loved it, and they did something with it. I don't know, but my hands were like, after I did what I had to do. Hey, my name is on the project. do what you guys gonna do with it. So it just kind of built off of that. And then a friend of mine that I've always been around asked me about, have you ever thought about directing? I'm like, nah, that shit looks crazy. I just want to write. It's like nowadays you need to start being able to do both. So more guidance. It's a moment where if you have the money or whatever, if you can, invest in yourself and being a director. So at some point I was able to do so with catching up. Catching up, I had a football player, Thomas Q Jones, Thomas Jones, who played for the Chicago Bears, Tampa Bay, superstar, over 10,000 yards. He's going to be Hall of Famer. He's transitioned into being an actor. He's successful right now. And then he was able to get his friend AG into it. So they loved the story. We did it in one day, shot it out, won a festival, got a bunch of acceptances from other festivals. And that's when I was like, oh shit, maybe I should be in this lane. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's more so, do not limit yourself to what you think you're capable of doing in the moment. You need to be able to open yourself up to being able to do more things. And that can go back to certain athletes that are just like, I'm just athletic, I'm just tall. But those same tall people, like the Brooke Lopez's and all these other people, somehow developed a 3-point shot that made their careers. Even Blake Griffin, that made his career span long. Griffin was not going to be athletic forever. He's not going to write forever. Why not expand your game? And he was not afraid to do so. So you can tell he was in the gym. Brooke Lopez was in the gym. A lot of these tall, didn't get drafted with a jump shot, now has a jump shot and you can't leave them open. They understood to not limit but expand. So that's one of the main things I would say. Do not be afraid to expand into something that you think you don't know in the moment, because once you're thrown in the fire, you're gonna figure it out because you have no choice. You have to figure out a way to get out or succeed when you're put in that box. So that's what I got at.
Man.
Producing. I never thought I was gonna. I never wanted to produce. Now I'm producing. So
that's a great lesson for all, for the audience in here. Look, the great fact of life is that growth comes from being uncomfortable. You've got to be in an uncomfortable situation you're not familiar with to grow. And if you are comfortable wherever you are, that is a surefire sign that you are not currently growing and you are not in a position to expand your capabilities. As a person, not allowing people to revert to their comfort zones is one of the single most critical responsibilities I personally feel like it's my job to carry as a leader at Big Valley Mortgage, at any company I've been in the past with kids. I am challenging you to be uncomfortable and grow for your own benefit, right? Like, because we're instinctively wired to be comfortable. Like, as human beings, we seek comfort, and that's usually familiar things we know. So I love that, man, and I can't wait to get working on the projects we're talking about. I appreciate you coming on, my guy. It's
always
good to see. It's good to see you, dude.
Always great seeing you, Phil, for real. And we gonna get to other stuff for sure, man.
No doubt. Well, and I'll make sure as to the audience, as Fowzi's projects are coming out, as the different movies and shows are hitting, we'll make sure we're pushing them out on the channel here, and make sure that for those of you out there, especially in the sports world, if you've got sports stories and ideas that you would like to bring to life, we'll make sure to reach out, hit us up on the channel. We'll get you connected to Fuzz the writer on social, and make sure you tap into a guy that understands the game and is networked in the world of Hollywood and understands how to turn stories to life. So appreciate you, my guy, and I cannot wait to bring you back for another episode. So, any parting words?
It's always a pleasure talking to you and updating you on everything, man, and hearing about everything that you're doing, and then just seeing how your channel has grown so far, so much already in just a year, man. So I'm excited to even come back and see everything else you guys got going, all the other interviews you got set up.
Appreciate you, brother. Well, we will just keep grinding and getting better bit by bit here. So, with that, another episode of the Triple J Sports Podcast. Fowzi Abdelsamad, writer, director, producer, screenwriter, and Hollywood hooper.
Yeah.
We'll we'll see you guys next time.
All right, y'all. Take care, y'all.